Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to provide a year in review for Yellowstone. We'll start with the big news for the year, Steamboat Geyser. Then move on to Giant Geyser, located in the Upper Geyser Basin. We'll also review the rare eruption of Ear Spring and what park officials found. We'll then touch on the Maple Creek earthquake swarm, and then finish with the changes in ground deformation in and around Yellowstone. Before we get started, go ahead and click the subscribe button below to have new videos added to your subscription feed. Let's get started. Geysers were the story of 2018, especially Steamboat Geyser in the Norris Geyser Basin. Steamboat is the tallest active geyser in the world, but major water eruptions are usually rare, sometimes with years between events. In 2018, however, it erupted a record-setting 32 times. The previous record was 29 eruptions in 1964, and the geyser was quite active in the 1960s and early 1980s, so the recent activity is not unprecedented by any means. Most geysers in Yellowstone are like Steamboat, they do not erupt on regular schedules. Old Faithful is an exception. Certainly, the spate of activity was an exciting sight for the millions of visitors to Yellowstone National Park in 2018, and many tales of steamboat eruptions graced social media this past summer. The first steamboat eruption of 2018 occurred on March 15. Following two additional eruptions in April and one on May 4, University of Utah and Yellowstone National Park scientists deployed seismic sensors around the geyser. The instruments recorded data through 4 eruptions before they were collected on June 4. At Old Faithful, data like these have helped to map the plumbing system and eruptive patterns of that geyser in unprecedented detail. Hopefully, the data collected from Steamboat will similarly illuminate how that intermittent geyser works. This Steamboat wasn't the only Yellowstone geyser showing enhanced levels of activity in 2018. Giant Geyser, in the Upper Geyser Basin, not far from Old Faithful, also erupted repeatedly, 29 times, according to the Geyser Times database. The last time Giant was so active was in 2007 to 2008, when it erupted several dozen times. There was also a rare eruption of Ear Spring in the Upper Geyser Basin in September, an eruption that brought decades of human-generated garbage to the surface, like coins, a cinder block, and even a baby's pacifier. Let's take a look at a short clip from jKTVQ.
In news from Yellowstone National Park, back in September, a long-dormant pool sprang to life in Yellowstone's Upper Geyser Basin. On Wednesday, the park showed 60 years worth of debris that the geyser spat out when it shot 30 feet in the air. The ground around the geyser and even a nearby boardwalk was showered with old coins, cans, combs, and even a 1930s baby pacifier. Normally, Ear Spring only shoots water about 2 feet in the air, but this eruption, the biggest since 1957, was caught by the Old Faithful webcam. In a Facebook live stream, park rangers showed off some of the old relics that popped out of the geyser.
We have a Hamm's beer can with a zip top style pull tab. So these types of pull tabs were started being manufactured pre-1962.
While the debris might be an archaeological treasure trove, park rangers say throwing things into a geyser is among the worst things you can do when visiting the thermal areas in Yellowstone.
The Ear Spring eruption was associated with the formation of a new thermal feature that forced the closure of a boardwalk. University of Utah scientists also responded to that event with a deployment of seismic sensors. We don't know why intermittent geysers experience periods of heightened activity, separated by months to years of dormancy or very infrequent eruptions. It is possible that the availability of water in the subsurface is a contributing factor. Yellowstone has experienced especially heavy precipitation in recent years. In fact, recent research suggests that subsurface water plays a role in earthquake activity as well. A comprehensive analysis of the Maple Creek earthquake swarm, which produced over 2,400 located earthquakes a few miles north-northeast of West Yellowstone, MT, during June-September 2017, was completed in the past year. The results of the study, documented in a recent Yellowstone Caldera Chronicles article, suggest that water moving through the subsurface caused existing faults to rupture, which in turn resulted in more fluid movement, creating a feedback cycle. Water may actually be the cause of many earthquake swarms at Yellowstone. Speaking of earthquakes, 2018 was a pretty average year for Yellowstone in that respect. The University of Utah Seismograph Stations, which is responsible for the operation and analysis of the Yellowstone seismic network, located 2007 earthquakes in Yellowstone during 2018. This is right on par with the average of 1,500 to 2,500 earthquakes per year for the region. The year did start quickly in terms of earthquakes, with a flare-up of 2017's Maple Creek swarm resulting in over 700 located earthquakes in February 2018, but that was the only month with more than 200 located events. The February seismicity was probably a continuation of the 2017 Maple Creek swarm, and that area is historically one of the most seismically active regions of the park overall. In 2018, there were 21 seismic swarms accounting for 1,289 located earthquakes, 64% of the total number of events. The largest earthquakes of 2018 were a pair of 3.1 events that occurred during the February swarm. Only 3 events in the Yellowstone region were reported felt during the year. There were no significant changes in ground deformation in and around Yellowstone during 2018. The area near Norris Geyser Basin continued to rise, while all stations in the caldera continued to subside, in both cases by about 2 centimeters, less than 1 inch, over the entire year. These patterns continue the trends that have been ongoing since 2015. This concludes the updates for 2018. We're looking forward to 2019. Please subscribe, like and share.